one compressed version of this is Yes Minister is actually a documentary.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just as you said. You have a political figurehead. You have an actual permanent civil servant who's really the guy who does stuff. And then you have a little connection between them who are the SPADs. Right. So the SPADs actually are younger people, and if they're competent, they can spend late nights studying, okay, what is a civil servant saying to us? How are they really doing it? I can kind of go in there and talk to people. I can do more than like the figurehead guy
who's spending most of his or her time
trying to get a
media.
BBC. Yeah, right. So that's Dom's picture of how things work.
Right.
And from my experience, that is how things work. Okay, from my experience in Number 10.
Okay.
So during those halcyon days, like just imagine this: Boris comes in, he's appointed this evil mastermind guy.
Mm-hmm. Dom. Yeah.
There's tons of coverage on that day when Boris first enters Number 10. Dom is standing there with an OpenAI T-shirt, and it's actually stained. On this one, I'm a little embarrassed for Dom because there's like a big stain on his OpenAI T-shirt. Okay.
Sure.
And this is when OpenAI was like not known at all.
I think maybe they were still yet to beat OG at Dota.
Yeah,
like that's kind of like hyper niche.
Only nerds knew about OpenAI.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And but okay, I'm not going to comment on how Dom got that T-shirt, but
anyhow,
well, it's an interesting story because there are certain connections between Dom and but
okay,
yeah.
Let's talk. Yeah.
But anyway, the point, the cultural thing the picture I'm trying to paint of those days, those halcyon days when Dom was effectively running the UK. Okay, right. So I mean, literally running the UK.
Sure.
So
because Boris is a sort of like
he doesn't care. Okay. And no, I'm telling
Fair
you.
Enough. Yeah,
look, we can talk about would Boris deny this? Would the people who want you to believe that the system actually is more sane than it actually is, would they deny these statements? Sure, you can find many people who will deny these statements. I will tell you what I actually experienced. I'm telling you what I actually experienced and saw in Number 10 because I was there. Yep. Okay, for some of this time, right?
No problem.
I mean, that's the whole point of this podcast, right? Is because you
I understand.
If I tell you like, Hitler was high on cocaine and stimulants, and that's part of the problem why they couldn't win on the Eastern Front, like you might be like, oh, well, this august historian at Yale says that isn't true. And I was fucking there. I saw him snort the cocaine. And, so like that's what you're going to get from me. If you want
That's why I had you on.
If you want the conventional interpretation, just go to BBC and listen to some commentator. Who can't say anything outside the Overton window, or this little thing comes and yanks him off the stage, and you never see him again.
Okay. So Boris is essentially like the ministers we talked before. Yeah. Primarily concerned with his public image. Particularly this time, he's just come off this big, sweeping win.
But the system really lets him do that because there's a cabinet secretary. There are these people who are the permanent and generally competent people who are there to run it.
Right.
So as Dom would say, like when they photograph the prime minister and his cabinet walking down the street, like behind the gate at Number 10, coming in for an important meeting, rushing out of your expensive car, Rolls Royce, to like dart into, those guys are like not actually running the country, but they want you to think they're running the country.
Right.
Okay? And they don't even care.
They want to think they're running the country.
No, this is the interesting thing is some of them may actually be cynical enough to know, like, I just have to make sure nothing bad is going to happen to me PR-wise, optics wise,
right?
But
I don't actually have any interest in
this horribly competent young woman who they've sent us from the ministry. I can leave things to her, right? So, all right. But the connector between that figurehead person who just wants to be on TV, and the career civil servant is the SPAD.
Sure.
And Dom had all the SPADs.
So just. I think one more point that might be important for the audience here is the picture of the ministries essentially being run by the permanent secretary is not true to quite the same extent we're at number 10. The prime minister has all kinds of powers.
Yes.
Around appointments and directives that his or her ministers don't have.
Yes.
That actually, and in some respects, I think this creates like an enormous bottleneck of power, because if something needs an approval, the minister, like that outside the kind of the standard operating procedure, the minister can't approve it, so it has to go to number 10 if it's going to be like or languages. Right.
So Dom has also written at length about this. We've discussed this at length. So it all bottlenecks up to the prime minister because he does have extraordinary powers, but this is the power of social convention to control the ape brain, is that the guy who is prime minister is constantly being told by these wise people around him that, well, that just isn't done. You know, like we get a bunch of appointments from this ministry and you just sign here. You sign and Dom, because he's a nerd and he can think outside the window and closely read stuff, he realized like, no, the PM can just say like, no, I will just strike this, like put Joe Smith, and I can do whatever I want, right? You guys, what? Like, who are you? Like cabinet secretary, or whoever just came in with all these papers.
The power does actually, in those cases, have to have lie the mental, with the prime minister.
But you have the legally,
but it's legally,
but you have to have the mental strength to use it,
right?
And Dom realized this. Most of the politicians who get into that position don't really realize it, or maybe they don't care.
Sure.
But he weaponized that. So he's like, no, we're not going to do that. So he literally ran the UK for a while.
Okay.
This is the enormity of this, I think, is lost on a lot of people.
Sure.
His enemies, of course, if you look at the puppet show, like Spitting Image, of course to attack him, they like to kind of pretend that he ran the UK and they want to make him look like an evil genius. No, he actually did, in a sense, run the UK because again, he had Boris's confidence at this time. They had won this enormous victory, One
could say that he had a mandate, or Boris had a mandate which he delegated to Tom.
And manifestation of that is in those days, if I came to visit and I went to number 10, I would sometimes go dressed like this.
Right.
Okay. Now just imagine this, okay?
Sure.
Like, I don't know how many people in the history of the United Kingdom have sat in a chair in a meeting in number 10 dressed like this.
Okay.
But I have done it repeatedly. Okay.
All right.
And the whole vibe at the time was this crazy dude Dom, who's a genius, has seized control. He's bringing all these, smart but weirdo misfit dudes in.
Silicon Valley types.
Yeah, wow, this is an American. His accent. Look, he looks Chinese, but he's got this weird American accent, right? They were just kind of used to it. They were just like, and all the spads were like, "Oh, Steve, you're Steve Hsu. Let's talk about this," or and even the ministers. Okay, but anyway, so the point is, like, I'm just illustrating this both because it's just an amusing memory for me, but because it illustrates that he actually had total power.
Right. Can you walk us through? Like, you took these halcyon days where before the relationship breaks down between Dom and Boris.